meeting is being recorded.
So Noel, welcome to Fearless in Devotion. Liam, before a big game, where would you go and eat?
Well, on Friday I went and ate at the Fat Boar, in fact, and enjoyed one of their delicious posh kebabs.
You did that on Friday, did you?
Yeah, and then I temporarily scrapped the ritual just because of how Friday went, but I'd still highly recommend it.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Yes. So I think we need to talk about a certain big match that seemed to captivate the bloody world yesterday. The world and his wife were there. So before we sort of get into the match, Tim, I know you popped down to Civic Hall. Are you just a big fan of the council, or is there something else going on down there?
I'm just a fan of the Guildhall architecture. Nothing more, nothing less.
Pretty special.
And temporary barriers to keep the baying mob at bay, I suppose. So, I was heading down to town early, and then I kind of twigged that they were obviously getting the being made free men's of Wrexham. So I thought, well, if I'm down that way and I'm parking up by there, why not pop over? It was pissing down with rain. There wasn't many people there, but just mainly sort of families and stuff trying to catch a glimpse. And yeah, they came out. Quick skedaddle. Sort of Sean Harvey and Humphrey Carr were the lackeys, for want of a better word, carrying their various presentations and all that sort of malarkey, but all very, very well dressed for the occasion. And yeah, obviously Ryan came out. He was clutching his daughter, who was sleeping. He mentioned that obviously she was jet lagged. So yeah, very, very much a kind of flying visit, because by all accounts, his daughter was due back in school this Tuesday morning. So yeah, it was a quick hopping back over the pond. But it was just nice to see him in the flesh. But it's still strange. It's still weird, just him just popping out casually. Oh, hello. There was probably about maybe 100, 150 people there tops. Probably put paid to it a bit.
The burning question is, if you got freedom of the city/town of Wrexham, what would you want? What would be your special power, your special thing that you can do that no one else can do? Keep it clean.
No, I'd probably implement chips for £1 across the entire town, just to sort of extend what we'd love to see at the racecourse. I don't know what my superpower would be. Does it have to be like a weird, proper comic book superpower, or do you mean it can be?
I mean, no, it's not actually a superpower. It's just you can do something due to the fact that by royal statute you have the freedom of Wrexham. So there's something you can do in Wrexham that no one else can.
Oh God, I'd like to have an exclusive key to St. Giles's Church, just so I can go up when I fancy it, and I'm just going to pop a beer, get a bit of fresh air. Because, believe it or not, it is an amazing view up there. They used to do tours, kind of ad hoc basis, but it's a bit of a climb. And off the top of my head, I keep it I'd be quite grounded and just have like a free pass up St. Giles Church, where I could just have a cheeky barbecue with a couple of mates.
Sounds like you want to join the National Trust. Liam, what would you do?
Well, after you broke the news to me the other week that you have to pay now to get into Chequers, I think I'd have a lifetime free pass to Chequers, and I'd also like to own a horde of flying monkeys. So I'm not asking for much, but free pass to Chequers, flying monkeys.
I feel like I've undersold myself now.
You definitely have, but you went first, so
I went for the sort of National Trust angle, clearly. So yeah, free parking, that'd be cracking.
You absolutely. That's exactly what I was about to say. I want to be able to park anywhere, and I mean literally anywhere. If I just want to park on a roundabout, I can do that. And I'll just put like a little sort of note on my car saying I am the Wrexham's greatest son, and this is where I'm parking. So that's what I wanted. Oh, you've ruined it now, Tim. You had your go, but then you had to come back and spoil my go, didn't you?
You're coming along, commandeering Gilpin's Island. They call them islands in Birmingham, not roundabouts. That used to be information there.
Right. Okay. Apart from that, I think they were spotted at the turf as well, weren't they? Didn't they jump on stage?
There was obviously there was a bit of an event on with Declan Swans and WREXHAM and a couple of other bands, and yeah, they came up and there was a bit of a chant for It's Always Sunny in Wrexham, and they played their little part in it. So it's just weird, isn't it? It's still amazing, but it's still weird. Even when you see the videos now, it's like, has that happened? Is that really happened? If you put a video clip montage of all the times they visited and the things they've done, it would just be like, oh my god, yeah, I forgot about that. It's just bonkers, and it's now got to the point. I think we're firmly in that ballpark where we just feel like, oh yeah, they're just popping over. They're just in the pub, just like literally a one of us kind of thing now. I feel like it's more that than they're our owners, they're the Hollywood guys. It just very much feels like, yeah, they're just two of our guys that have done pretty well for themselves.
Yeah, but have they ever been to Checkers? Right. Talking about the local sort of pubs and hosteleries in the area, I was in the Mice Gwyn before the match. My mate Chris was there with me. He says he's probably said about 4 or 5 things to me during an hour, which I didn't even reply to because I was so nervous. Absolutely could not get a word out of me. It's weird. It's not like I was like, and lots of anticipation. It was just a bit of nothingness, nerves I couldn't really get rid of. Liam, what were you like before the match?
So I went to the Drunk Monk, another nice local hostelry, enjoyed the wares there, and I'll be honest, after the Halifax game, all in the build-up, my mentality has just been not sort of defeatist, but I've just been trying to mentally prepare myself for the likelihood that we were going to lose. I must have I think I had a dream about it, or a nightmare if you want, the night before. And I think we lost 3-2 actually, which is I got the score right, just not the right way. Yeah, I was bricking it. Absolutely bricking it.
I was pretty calm because obviously I saw you, Andy. You were chain smoking like Bet Gilroy and Liz McDonald rolled into one. For our American friends, they're characters, old characters in Coronation Street.
And for my mum, I wasn't. All right. And
yes.
And for also for Amber, I wasn't. I don't know what you're on about.
Looked like a cigarette to me. But yeah, don't worry about it. He was also
drinking. You were like an annoying scrappy dude, Tim. Everyone was like nervous, and you were just going up and down saying, "We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. Yeah, man, let him at it. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it."
And where was I from with that accent? Because I'd love to know.
Wherever Scrappy Doo lives, I don't know. Accent.
Answers on a postcard to fidzine@gmail.com. Where does
Wrexham Scrappy Doo live?
Yes. Well, his name is Paul Mullin, but we'll come to him in a bit. But yeah, no, I was unnervingly calm about it, which concerned me in a weird way. I don't know. I just felt like, the endless despondency and gloom that we've become accustomed to, even now, 2 years into the takeover, it still hasn't drummed it fully out of us. There's still moments, isn't there, whether it's Grimsby last season or whatever, but this season just seems to have ironed out any kind of doubt that this team is special. It's the management team is special, everything about it. And I just felt that we would put on a show, as the song goes, just because Halifax was awful, and I just knew that there would be some sort of reaction. But I don't think any of us quite imagined what we saw in the second half, because it was just insane. So good.
Before we get into there, now, me and Liam were the same, and everyone I sort of spoke to, Side Cook and people like that, were really nervous, and I thought that might translate into a bit of a flat atmosphere, a bit of a nervous one. I think we experienced it in Bromley away, where it wasn't just quite there. Luckily, that wasn't the case at all, and I don't know if it's because Ryan and Rob were there, but one thing I did think that sort of G'd us up was we had a minute's applause for Jason Turner, who was the Notts County chief exec, and fair play, we got into that, didn't we? We sort of
started clapping. Yeah, started before the referee's whistle.
Totally, we were keen, and I just wonder if that sort of sort of, I don't know, maybe cut the tension a little bit and got us into a mood where we did want to shout and sing. And I thought the atmosphere was probably one of the best ones this season. I thought it was on a par with Sheffield United, if not better in some sort of aspects. Now, Tim, you're in the singing bit. How was it for you?
The singing bit. Well, it's spread now. It's become a bit of an L-shaped singing bit. So you've got all of the university stand, and you've got the sort of the sort of the right side of the MRS. So it's kind of all reverberates quite nicely now. And yeah, it was just really good because the 12th man lads had done a bit of a march beforehand to try and get people in the mood and create a bit of noise. Carried that on into the ground, and then I think from about 20 to 3, there was like, it just seemed a little bit flat. And then it got to 10 to 5 to 3, and it was just bouncing. It just felt there was something in the air, something special about it. Obviously, with the owners in town, it always feels special anyway. And the players and the fans want to put on a show for them as almost like a kind of a repeated sort of show of gratitude and thanks to what they've done, really, because we can turn up and we can pay our money and the players can take their money and put in a performance, but none of this really would have been possible had it not been for them. So it feels like that as well. It just feels like every time they come, it's like a homecoming, and we kind of want to make it special for them, because yes, they can afford to come over, but that's a lot of hard yards they put in, to bring their family, their friends. It's not quite as easy as you might think. So I'm glad that we did it, and I'm glad we did it in style.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I do think we're still in the stage where we want to impress them, and we want them to know that they've done the right thing. I think more and more they are realizing that. The match sort of kicks off. I thought County's passing game was second to none. I thought it was fantastic. What I did notice early doors was how high a line they were holding, and I did sort of think when you've got a player like Paul Mullin, you're gonna come a cropper at one point if you try and do that, because he is so clever that he will, out of anyone there, he will exploit it. Now, Ollie Palmer will stand there and battle, but Mullin behind him will just make the runs. I want to ask Liam, do you like linesmen? Are you the Andrew Robertson of that?
Assistant referee. Assistant referee will have you know.
Well, just to set the scene here, when I got into the ground, I had none other than Rhys Williams' dad sat in front of me. Lovely bloke that he is. And after the match, I was sort of like, oh my God, what must Rhys's dad think of me? Because at one stage, I was at pitch side giving it a bit of verbals to the linesman. And
give us an example, and you can be your own bleeping machine as you say it, because it is a fan.
I may have told him that his mum was ashamed of him. That was probably one of the more tamer shouts from me.
I know. Your mum's ashamed of you. She's ashamed of you, mate.
I didn't go for the classic "Where's your guide dog" that some people around me trot out. But it was just the fact, though, you talk about that high line, and there was a bit of disgruntlement at halftime. I actually thought Parky got the tactics spot on, and you could see exactly what he was trying to do. But the problem was, you had a linesman, every tight offside call, some weren't even tight. Well, I think one, Ryan Barnett, was in his own half when he starts making the run. Every call went against us, and I haven't taken the time to go back and review them, but I stand by the fact that his mum was ashamed of him for that performance.
I think there's a lad called Sam Higgins on Twitter has put a load of videos clipped from the game, which shows some dodgy bloody decisions by not just the lino but the referee. For the goal, it's obvious that Rodriguez tripped himself, the big numpty, and then and we got a free kick from that. I mean, it does more and more when you see it. It looks like a penalty. I think is it Rawlinson or is it the Cameron on Mullin, where he's not looking at the ball. All he's thinking about is pushing Mullin, And the referee is right in front of that. It did sort of seem that it was going to be one of those days where we weren't going to get anything, where the ref wants to show, you know what, I'm bigger than the occasion. I'm not a homer here. I'll referee the game I want to. And it surprised me in the second half when he didn't give the decision for the Notts County defender who clashed with Mullin before the goal. I mean, I think he slipped, and I think he slipped because not only had it been raining, but they well watered that pitch, and everyone in the first half was slipping all over the place. So I did think two things from the first half, which was cagey, but you can't really say that County probably didn't deserve to be ahead at that point. It was cagey. Two things: yes, the high line, and secondly, the slips. And I wondered if they would both come together. And in the end, they did come together. But we just needed that goal at that point, and it seemed to settle our nerves. And Tim, what a second half!
Yeah, it was weird, wasn't it? Because I mean, I was like, I think I'm not on a par with Liam's cussing for your mum's ashamed of you, but I was like, bloody hell, Notts County, do you pass teams to death or do you bore them to death? Because I was just like, what are they doing with it side to side? Like the Crabs, not the Magpies. I was like, are you going to do anything with it? And then they forced Foster into one save. They then get the goal. And I just sort of sat down at half time. I felt a little bit deflated because I just thought, are we going to carry on allowing them to play that sort of game in the second half? They're going to have to do something different. And like Liam's already said, the game plan, because we just pressed them early in that second half, pressed, started forcing the errors, started making them jumpy and jittery and frustrated them. And we've already mentioned scrappy dudes, but that's what we were. We're just a team, these little bastards biting at the heels of every Notts County player. And it was great to see because, we all know that attack is the best form of defence as far as Luke Williams and his team is concerned. So I think the Dorking manager said the other week, he said, we're going to try and attack them because they're not used to defending. And that's exactly what it proved to be the case. They're not used to defending. And you can see they're not used to defending.
Because I don't think they're great at defending.
No, but I mean, what made me laugh is that, everybody bangs on about, Wrexham score loads from set pieces and Notts County score loads of goals from open play. The script completely flipped on its head. We're the ones whacking in goals from open play. They're the ones whacking in goals from set pieces. And it was just, I watched that second half again last night because I just felt, when you're there and you get into the moment and it's amazing, but you just feel, sometimes you feel you have to watch things back and look at it from a different angle, a different point of view. And it was just special. And that game would not have looked at a place at the sort of lower end of the championship because of the quality that was on show. It was just so good. And I think there is not even a begrudging respect. There is a solid respect between both teams, both sets of fans, because they're both sides that, for all the money, are trying to play the game in the right way. And that was a perfect example of it.
Yeah. And there were some heroes of that game for me, and mostly in the second half. And I just want to go through a few of them with you guys and just see what you guys think. The first one I want to give a shout out to is Jacob Mendy. Now,
Mendy.
I'll be honest, he had a mare against Halifax. I know you were there, Tim. I was watching it. I was watching on the stream, and he struggled. And I think towards the end, he was making runs and no one was even passing to him. And I thought it was a big call for him to start again. But fair play. What a performance that guy gave. With
I just think
ringing in his ears.
That is a prime example of Parky's man management. He said that he sat down with him and said, you're not being yourself. So they've ironed out whatever's bothering him. And I think he's a kind of a confidence player. I think if you have a word in his ear and say you're better than what you're showing, so just go out there, back yourself, believe in yourself, because he's athletic, he's strong, he's powerful, and sometimes you like, especially prior to yesterday, there was a couple of games where he showed all the ability, but then he kind of like sort of reined himself in on occasion. I thought, he could have gone for that if he had a bit more confidence. And yesterday he was, easily his best game for us. He was brilliant. And that Neman is a tricky customer to deal with. I thought he handled him really well, and his goal
Well, yeah,
is
the man went off.
yeah.
You
But
know?
his goal was brilliant, because if you watch it back again, I didn't notice it when I was there, but when you watch it back, who passes it into Mullin? Was it O'Connell? With a
It could
pass
have
from the
been
back?
O'Connell was doing. I think it was Tozer, wasn't it?
Was it such a good
The
ball?
first goal was Jones. First goal was
Yeah.
Jones for Mullins goal.
And then, but what was the pass that picked up Mullin that put in
It was one
Mendy?
of the back two. I thought it was
Yeah.
Tozer.
Yeah.
But that ball was amazing. And then, like you said,
Can I say one more thing? Right. You two guys, I'm going to say a statement. You two guys say yes or no. That was Ben Tozer's best game for us.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, a few people have said it on Twitter. He's been a solid 8 out of 10 for the last couple of months. I don't think it's hard to disagree. And yeah, just going back to, I mean, that pass into Mullin and then Mendy. If you watch it back on the telly, he's pointing to Mullin on the other side of the pitch where he wants him to put it. He's already picked this spot. And when Mullin crosses it, all of us, especially in that stand, are like, who's he picking out? There's nobody in the box. And he burns in off that channel, that left channel.
Yeah. He was pointing where he wanted it, didn't
Yeah,
he?
but the finish is
still had a lot to do.
the finish is as good as it gets. First time, you can't put it anywhere else because there's a covering defender that blocks it if it hits it too low. If it hits it too high, it's over the bar. So there's only one place you can put it. Goal of the game, if you take out Bostock's goal, of course.
Yeah, let's take out Bostock's goal. Let's just say we're being joined by Tom Williams again, who's a friend of the pod, who did a piece with us a couple of months ago on County. Tom, we're just going through some of the heroes of the game. In your ears for some of it, but we've got a section of questions for you. But if you want to come in on anything, mate, just turn your mic off and we'll let you have a say. Now, obviously, we've talked about the Lino, who his mum hates him. Is that right, Liam?
Yeah, well, so I'm led to believe, and I won't say what I said about his dog because I felt terrible afterwards because I love dogs. Well, I said I hope that his dog got run over, and then I thought oh, that's terrible because I love dogs, so I'd rather the linesman was run over. But maybe that's just me. Just a very angry individual.
Please start filming these. The Liam Randalls, Alan Partridge School of Berating.
Ranting to himself.
I try and make them inventive. I try and make them as inventive as possible.
Right. Anyway, the way that you can get past a lino who is going to constantly say that everything is offside is by hitting the ball in the air and running after yourself. It's the only way that you cannot be offside. And fair play to Owen O'Connell for realizing that in the second half and doing a Gary Owen when he exactly needed to. Now, O'Connell, I thought, had a very good game. I thought he showed some great touches when we needed it. Liam, do you think the penalty at the end, though, do you think that was just a bit of a rush of blood to the head there? I mean, it was a definite penalty, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. When I saw it in live play, I was surprised that the referee didn't blow up immediately. It was probably only a few seconds between that and when he did actually blow up, but it felt like an eternity. So I think, like most fans, didn't realise he'd given it. Notts County fans definitely didn't because they didn't cheer until. I think it was just unfortunate though. When you see it in replay, you can. There's an argument to say, his hands had already moved, but it's like, well, yeah, it's a handball, isn't it? But as for that run though, where he passed to himself, me and my mates were saying it was like some sort of FIFA glitch. Their players all slowed down. Suddenly, Owen O'Connell, who. I don't think he's slow, but he's not one of the fastest on the pitch. Suddenly appears from nowhere on the wing. I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. But other than that handball, which could have been costly, but I think it would have been harsh on him if they'd scored. But yeah, he had a great game.
Right, let's get on to what happened after that handball. Ben Foster's save. Now we all know that Foster took a bit of flack against Halifax for there was a couple of shots at his near post that maybe a flying fully sort of a keeper who hadn't had 9 months off may have saved. Now I think that's the fairest that I can say there, but I think Foster proved yesterday why we brought him back, because I've sort of seen the highlights, and the save he made before even the penalty was fantastic. But the penalty save was absolutely brilliant, because when he gets there, and it's a well struck penalty, by the way, he also has to push it push it away from goal, and it hits his first hand, then hits his second hand. They're both strong, and he manages to get it away. It's an absolutely brilliant save. Tim, what was your view of it? You were straight up.
I love the fact that you've counted how many hands Ben Foster's got. He's hit his first hand, then he's hit his second hand, just in case you had any doubt. It was really good. I mean, if you look at his interview after, he says that he'd already figured out where the wonderfully Welsh named Cedwyn Scott was going to put it. Obviously, he respotted it, which, bone of contention, is a handball because the referee's already blown. So it should have been a free kick to us. So it's by the by now, isn't it? That would have been an interesting debate had he scored it, by the way. But then, yeah, if you look at the interviews, Foster said that there's no way, because his run-up, there's no way he's going to open his hips and go right in the 97th minute of a game of that magnitude. So he said he's either going to go down the middle or he's going to go to Foster's right. And he said he went purely on intuition because all the data they had suggested that Scott would go to his left. And you can't buy intuition. You can buy experience, but you can't buy intuition. And that's what an experienced goalkeeper gets you. You know, you just have a gut feeling. And it was amazing because it's a strong. It's not a bad penalty. You know, it gets a lot of stick. You might get a bit of stick for it, but it's a very, very well struck penalty. It's probably a bit more central than what you would have wanted, but he hit it with some pace. You know, so
he's had to respot it about two times. So,
he's had to get not one hand but two hands on it.
Well, he could have hit it with his first foot, or he could have hit it with his second foot, and maybe he hit it with the wrong foot.
Either way, it's an amazing save. He's pushed it away. He's taken all the plaudits, and then he's cramped up, and it's made for wonderful viewing on his vlog. By the way, FC Halifax Town have just tweeted they're not angry, they're just disappointed that Ben Foster didn't include any footage from the defeat at the Shed.
I reckon his GoPro definitely broke for large swathes of that second half.
Superb shithousen.
Right, two more people I want to talk about before we bring Tom in. Firstly, how far can Tom O'Connor go in the game?
You know what? When I saw his name on the team sheet, I was like, yes, Tom O'Connor's on the team sheet. Oh crap, Tunnicliffe's not. So when I saw that he was playing at centre back, I thought, this could really go one or two ways here. I mean, he's a great player, but that's not his natural position. But there was little nuances to the way that Parky had them playing, where occasionally he'd step out of defence and make an interception or a pass, and same with O'Connell on the other side of Tozer. It just worked so well. I think it's just like his composure on the ball in those tense situations. Now, I think Andy Cannon's a great player, but he's not always who I want in possession, sort of around the sort of 20 yards out. Sometimes he gets caught in possession, but O'Connor just, I don't know, he's just so cool and collected. I think he really could go far.
Future captain material.
Yeah, I'd say so. And the fact that he is versatile, I think actually playing county probably fitted to his strengths in the back line, because they like to play about so much. He's quite good at anticipating things. If you just had a Woking who were absolutely firing a ball at him, which is what Bromley did in the playoff. In the final last year, maybe he's not as effective, but playing a game like county, I thought he really grew into it, and it was like he hadn't really been away. I think of all the players we brought in, Mullin aside due to age, I think he's got the most potential to really have a great career and go a few levels higher, hopefully with us. Now, I've sort of mentioned him, but how good is Mullin? And where does he rank all time? Because I'm thinking we're going to have to start talking about him in all time terms. So, Tim, simple question. Is he in your top 5 strikers already?
Yes. Primarily because we haven't had many good strikers at non-league level. Let's be honest about it.
Take non-league out of it, mate. Take non-league out of it.
I know, but okay, yeah. I mean, there's a handful, isn't there? There's always that handful for us of our generation. There's your Bennett, your Morel, your Trundle, and then he has to come into the reckoning because his goals to game ratio is through the roof. He broke the post-war record held by Morel the other day. I can't remember the actual finer details. He's just he's just a man of the people, isn't he? He just happens to be a very good goal scorer to boot. And the beauty of yesterday, and a lot of Notts County fans have conceded it, that they've got a greater respect having seen him at his best. They didn't get to see him at his best in the games previously against them, but his all-round display, scoring one, setting up two, almost set up Dalby for another one. He's just a pest. And he could have reined his game in when he got that yellow card, because I thought he's treading a fine line now already. But he's clever. He knows what he needs to do. And, he stayed on his feet to make sure there was no dodgy yellows after that as well. But yeah, without a doubt, he has to be up there. It's not even he has to be in the conversation. He is in the conversation, and he is on target to become, I'm not going to say a legend just yet, but he's firmly on course for it.
Liam, where's your rank for you?
He's definitely up there. Like I'd say at the moment, Andy Morel's been my number one for quite some time. But the way Mullin conducts himself, the passion in his game, and the thing I love most about him is he's horrible. He's bloody horrible. Like, you're just like a rat up a drain pipe all over the pitch. And opposition fans can't stand him. Like, I was reading a few of the comments on the Notts County forum, and I thought, you know what, from an opposition perspective, I can see why you wouldn't like him, but we bloody love him because he's ours. He's our super Paul Mullin, as Andy Gilpin once said.
Is his mum ashamed of him, Liam?
Nah, she's proud.
Tom, can I bring you in? Do you hate Paul Mullin?
Hate's a strong word. Obviously, I dislike that he was so good on Monday. Well, yesterday, feels like ages ago now. Yeah, I dislike how good he was, but as a player, he is fantastic, isn't he? He's a horrible player to play against. To be honest, I was a bit disappointed, and I don't want to go on about it because it is overplayed, the fact that he goes down easy. And obviously, from where we were stood, if you watch it back, you can actually see he does get clipped. But from where we were stood, it looked like he was going down quite theatrically, and it was quite disappointing that he was going down so easily. But second half, I think that's one of the best individual performances I've seen in this league. It was just really annoying, but nonetheless, I'm sure for you guys it wasn't quite as annoying.
No, we can sort of we can level our minds with it, really. Just overall, how did you sort of see County play? Did they always hold that high line, or did Williams change it at all for the game? I mean, for the first half, you knocked it about beautifully. I think we pressured you a lot more in the second half, and I think that's where maybe some mistakes started to creep in. But overall, are you pleased with the performance, if not the results?
Yeah, I think we performed okay. First half, I thought we were a better team. I thought we controlled things. We perhaps were lucky with the high line. We do play high line quite often. I think it was perhaps it's higher than it usually is, perhaps. But I think we were trying to compress things in your half. I think we were just trying to, keep things in your half and keep you away. That was my one concern going into the game, was the high line, because the three centre backs we picked have little pace, especially in comparison to our other two centre backs who missed out. Either through, and I think unfortunately both the other two centre backs, Brindley and Baldwin, have sort of had injuries recently and weren't fully fit. And also, definitely Brindley isn't the tallest, so I think he went with Rawlinson for his height. And I think we did lack that pace, unfortunately. That is what ultimately cost us, I think, the pace in the back line. I think, but unless you played that ball in the channel in the first half and we were catching you out, the second half, you just seem to get the weight of every single ball in that channel right, and it just ultimately was our undoing. If we could play the game again, I think he makes an adjustment in the game. I was wanting him to move Chickson back there, because it just was. We just, every time you got it, you just played it into that channel, and we just couldn't deal with it. That's the only disappointing thing, was that I felt we gifted you some obviously we gifted you some goals. And I think we lost the control in the second half. We were outfought, really. I think it's as simple as that. We were outfought. And I don't think that's the lack of desire from the players. I just think, the atmosphere, the occasion, and the adjustments you guys made just nullify this second half.
Where do County go from here? Can you see Wrexham slipping up? Is the title race over?
Yeah, I can't see slipping up, to be honest. Obviously, I think you might drop points again, but we need you to drop points in multiple games for us to even have a chance. So I think if we finish level on points, we'll have won it because we need to win games, and that means you've dropped points, and the goal difference isn't too dissimilar now. But I can't even see dropping points in 2 games to two losses. Like, you might draw 2, but that'd be enough anyway, wouldn't it? So, yeah, I think for us it's about the playoffs now. It's about picking ourselves up. We just need to put in 3 good performances, regardless, whether that's to have an absolute outside chance that you slipped up, or whether that's just to gain momentum for the playoffs, because we need to pick ourselves up. And I don't think it was even a bad performance. That's what's, perhaps it wasn't a bad performance. We scored the penalty later on. We probably come out of the game happier. So it's one of those where it's just such a close game.
Yeah, it's fine margins. Tom, I want to just talk about the celebrations and sort of like the fallouts and like the social media stuff. But later on, I'd like if you could help us pick a joint Wrexham County team.
Yeah.
As a little bit of fun.
So yeah, sure.
You're outnumbered. You're outnumbered quite a lot here, so you're gonna have to fight your corner pretty hard for some of these players.
Yeah.
Just lads, just how did we feel after it? I know, Tim, you were absolutely sure that we were going to win anyway.
I love the fact that he's muted his button. Andy, what are you doing?
I saw something on Twitter that surprised me a little bit. An emotional Tim Edwards. I thought you were made of stone. Are you not made of stone, Tim?
They were granite tears. No, I mean, I don't know what came over me. I think my dad lost his voice, and he was swearing like a trooper. Like, don't give him any fucking space. You'll get punished. Kept on repeating that over and over and over. And it was tense, even though we carved out a decent, a lead and then got pegged back. I still felt that we'd go on to win it. I just like Tom said, there was just, we overpowered them and rattled them. It's true that we did rattle them, and they had a bit of a moment where they felt like they were getting back a foothold in the game before they scored the second. And I still felt we got them rattled, and I just felt, even then I was confident of getting across the line. And then the penalty thing, it was such an anticlimax, because all eyes were on Mullin chasing that ball down. I was like, oh, does he want to throw in? And none of us really knew what had gone on, because there wasn't, the classic point to the spot and whistle blown. It was all a bit of a, sort of cloak and dagger. Nobody really knew what was going on. So when it was became apparent it was a penalty, it just, everybody was mystified and frustrated, but not massively surprised, because the standard of the officiating in that game wasn't great. So
I'll be honest, I was more in line with it than you guys, and I thought it was a penalty straight away.
I mean, I couldn't see it from where I was, but a few people sat down, couldn't bear to view it, and I just thought he's had a bit of a sketchy game at Halifax. Is it written in the stars that you get a 40-year-old keeper back who's turned down Newcastle's riches to maybe go and pull something out of the bag here when it really matters? And yeah, when he saved it, and then even then it was heart and mouth time, because the ball came in again before the whistle went. And when the whistle went, I literally burst out into floods of tears. It was weird. I don't know what went on. I just literally started blubbing. I think it was a combination of relief and belief, without wanting it to be so rhythmic about it, but the belief that you kind of feel you can almost touch the cup. You can scrape a fingernail on it now, that it feels like it's finally within sight. And I think that's the overwhelming aspect. I still remember at Lincoln in our last ever Football League match, and if you'd have told me that it would take us 15 years to to get back to the league, none of us would have believed anybody.
Yeah.
So I think it was just that overwhelming sense of joy, elation, relief. But yeah, it was amazing.
I mean, today I've spent a lot of the day doing media interviews, which just shows the amount of interest that is still in this club. Just when you think that there can't be another notch to this club, that there can't be any more publicity, then I went on the Today program on Radio 4 today, and like before they introduced me, they
Some
went,
lad on Radio 4.
yeah, absolutely. They had to do subtitles on the radio. Before I even came on, they were there. All right, we just like to point out we don't normally cover non-league football, but Wrexham isn't an ordinary club. And then I'll be honest, some of their questioning was a little bit basic. Maybe they didn't get the proper nuances of football, but it's just mad that program wants to talk about Wrexham FC.
What did they ask you? Tell us about what football is.
It's just, I'm not going to get on the BBC's back.
Come on,
The roundy thing and the netty thing.
If you're gonna pimp yourself out to every media outlet going, you might as well tell us.
Pimp myself out.
You've just said you've pimped yourself out to every media outlet going.
No, I said I've done some interviews. I didn't say that
You still looked battered on ITV Wales at lunchtime.
I reckon Andy's got like an old school pager attached to his belt that goes off.
Do you mean ITV National News?
Oh, was that robotic Reese?
I think that's that was the voice of Reese Williams coming at you live from an underground station.
Can you hear me? I'm not on an underground station. I'm currently passing Neath on the train.
Same difference.
You'd love to be underground rather than passing Neath.
To any Wrexham fans, pod listeners from Neath, Andy is a media whore and he didn't mean it.
Neath has got a lovely market, lovely covered market.
It's lovely to hear your lush tones, Reese.
Thank you very much. Wonderful to be here. Please carry on.
Did Reese have a point then?
just to keep us in check.
I was just correcting Liam that Andy appeared on the ITV National News, not ITV Wales News.
Sorry, Mr. National News. I'll be honest. I wanted the lush tones of Rob Shelley, but
can I just say that I more or less did Reese's work for him yesterday by going outside the Lager Club and doing free interviews. I want to be known now as an ITN cameraman, and I know Reese is going to make me cut that out.
I don't know what you're talking about. Please cut that out.
You were several sheets to the wind at that point, though, weren't you?
Oh, you can tell that by the end of that broadcast when my eye started flicking for some reason. Anyway, right, okay. Liam, get me out of this hole. Talk about the social media reaction. You've got some stats. We're going to call this section Liam's Stats Attack.
I mean, these stats are so up to date. I just hit F5 on the BT Sports Twitter account. So on the Foster penalty save, there's now been 9.7 million views on BT Sports Twitter account, which just goes to show how bonkers the levels of exposure was. But there was a tweet earlier in the day which also just captured it. So it's an account called Data Power, and they did an analysis of how much the game was talked about. So their tweet says, Ben Foster's heroics helped Wrexham generate unprecedented levels of global interest in the club, its partners, and the National League on Monday. In fact, it gained more mentions than even the Premier League's biggest weekend game, which was Liverpool versus Arsenal. Ours got almost 62,000 mentions on Twitter, compared to about 800 less for Liverpool and Arsenal. And the actual full-time... Yeah.
Do you think 42,000 of them were I bloody hate Wrexham? I hope they go bust.
I think it was people talking about the linesman's dog. I think most of them were.
Yeah, sorry, mate. I got you in full flow there. Carry on.
So the full-time score announcement when the club did the rather dashing image of a dragon torching some magpies, which I thought was a bit sinister, bit Game of Thrones, if we're honest. But that was viewed over 10.5 million times on Twitter. And that compared to Arsenal's full-time one, which was 2.9 million. I mean, what could Arsenal have done? They could have got what's their mascot again?
It's Gunnosaurus. If Gunnosaurus had a cannon and he was blowing the liver bird's head off.
I thought you were going to say his name's Ari the Arse or something, but no, Gunnosaurus. Ari the Arse sounds better. I noticed that Tom was shaking his head in disgust when you mentioned the official full-time tweet of the Dragons.
I was surprised when I saw it. What did you think, Tom?
It's horrendous, isn't it? I don't know. I just thought the picture itself was just. I just couldn't believe it when you saw that. It was just.
It was very clip art, wasn't it?
It was. I thought it was fake to start with, to be honest. You can click on the account, because the Twitter's blue now, you can make all these fake accounts. I had to click on to make sure it was the proper one. But and it was just on the Ben Foster. I think 1 million of those have been me. I would scroll through the timeline. I don't want to see this penalty ever again. But you scroll through Twitter, all you can see is that penalty save. So, yeah, I almost had to. I looked into trying how to block a video. I don't know if you can do that, but I'd love to be able to block that video. Never want to see that again. There
is a lad on Twitter, a Notts County fan, who did the right thing. Let me just see if I can find it. Yeah, Adam 1862, Notts County fan. His muted words are Bajrami, Ben Foster, Deadpool, GoPro, Paul Mullin, Ryan Reynolds, and Wrexham. Muted words forever. So he's had enough, including my Euro players. So there you go.
Poor badge. Unfortunate for him, bless him. But yeah.
Right.
All the others, I can understand why he's done that. Definitely Ben Foster. And I'm never ever. I'm not really one to watch YouTube vlogs, but there's no way. You'd have to pay me a lot of money to watch that vlog. Let's put it that way. I think.
Okay, Tom, I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
Would Ben Foster make it into your combined Wrexham County team? Now, is he better than Scott Slocum? I've just made a guy up. Sam Slocum, isn't it?
Slocum.
Yeah. Sam Slocum.
Yeah. Right, come on then. Foster or Slocum? You can go first, Tom.
Yeah, before the game, this answer might have been a lot different post Halifax, but I think it's hard to not put a keeper that's a Premier League player last year and has saved the penalty in the game in the combined 11. I think so. You're not going to have too many complaints. I didn't think Slocum had a bad game. Actually, I think he did all right. He made a really good save, and the goals that went in, I'm not sure what he could do about any of them. So, I don't think he's had a bad game there at all. But yeah, you can't argue with a 8-time England international penalty saver in the combined 11. I don't think.
Lads, anyone not thinking Foster?
Mark Howard.
I knew that was coming.
You just want to be quite contrary, don't you?
What? He's a good player. I don't care what anybody says. He's hard done by Chomp.
He's also very magnanimous, like that in the celebrations after the match. I mean, he did drop Ben Foster, bless him, but they seem to have a good camaraderie between them.
Ben Foster.
Let's be honest. As good as that save was, Ben Foster has still been quite rusty since he's come back out of retirement. There's no two ways about it. He's made a couple of good saves. He's made a couple of errors, and there's been a few bits where you thought, if that's anybody else, they get slated. So he's still a bit rusty, but it doesn't matter because there's a ready Breck glow surrounding him after yesterday's heroics. So yes, we have to go with Foster just because Slocum makes me nervous. This kind of sweeper keeper approach he's got doesn't always quite work.
No, he did nearly get caught out a few times, didn't he? And he's been caught out quite a few times this season. But on Foster at half time, I regret thinking this and maybe saying it to a few other Notts fans, but fortunately I didn't tweet about it, so it's not officially out. But I was semi-thinking, wow, I'm really glad they signed Foster. And then at full time, it was the exact opposite, because as soon as penalty was given, I realised he was in goal, and the fact he records it, I just thought it is now written he will save that in front of his camera. But at half time, obviously I've seen the free kick back, and I don't think he saves it. But the fact they went in, I just thought maybe he could have done better, and I thought Halifax as well.
Tom, just one last thing, because I know like you're kind of sick of hearing about the penalty and certainly sick of seeing it, but has Cedwyn Scott ever taken a penalty before? Because obviously Rodriguez would be your main penalty taker. He was off the pitch with a tooth. I don't know who whacked his teeth out. So first part of the question, has Cedwyn Scott, is he known for taking penalties? And the second part is, why is your 24-hour anonymous leading record-breaking goal scorer not stepping up to take that in the heat of battle?
Yeah, so that's the biggest mystery from the game, I think, who knocked out Rodriguez's teeth. No one still knows, I don't think, if anyone has the answer. It's Toos back in. I don't know if you've seen that. It's Toos back in. So I don't know who knocked him out. But as for the penalty, Scott, so there was a hypothetical question the other day was put on Twitter, was about who would your 5 penalty takers be in a shootout if you needed it. And I had to look up who'd taken a penalty because obviously we've only got Rodriguez. And Scott and Langstaff both took 1 penalty for Gateshead last season, and both of them scored. So yeah, I think Gateshead only got 2 or 3 penalties last year, so neither of them are like a season penalty takers. I'm not sure why Langstaff didn't take. We all thought he would take it, and when it was Scott that stepped up, I wasn't unhappy. The fact that he'd been out injured did go through my mind. It's, he didn't have a great game either. When he came on, he was fairly quiet. So I thought Langstaff would take it, but in hindsight is amazing. I'd have given it to Bostock, I think, because he's got all that experience and he showed he had the composure for the free kick. So I think, but to be honest with you, it was one of those where I'm not a big believer in like fate and all that, but it just had it written all over it that he would save it, I think. And what you said about what he said after the game, that's crazy that he sort of read it where it was going to go. And
18 years exactly since that penalty save and him winning the LDV Vans Trophy final with Wrexham. 18 years to the day. That's weird, isn't it? I mean,
wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I know that.
He just had it written all over it, I think. When it was given, we were all celebrating weirdly, but it was like we all sort of realised Ruben's not on the pitch, and then it was like, okay, we've not been in this position, and it just didn't feel. We just weren't confident, really, any of us that confident in the penalty, and that's not against Scott. That's just anyone who had taken it. I think it just was, yeah.
Can we confidently say after yesterday that Mullin is the master and Langstaff is the apprentice?
No, but we can say
it's worth a try.
Yeah, no, but we can say that Mullin is a massive big game player, and I was so impressed with him. And the fact that, I mean, I forgot he was on the yellow card actually, so maybe some of his roughhousing was a bit risky actually. I forgot he was on a yellow. But I'm so impressed with the way he just bullied our defenders, really. And maybe there were fouls, but I'm not going to complain because there should have been a penalty in the first half for you guys. I couldn't believe it that wasn't given. So I'm not really going to complain about that foul.
Right, come on. We need to get through this joint 11. So next we've got Barnet against. How do I say his name? Is it Nemani? Go on.
None of us are really sure. We just go with Nemain or Neman. Yeah, he said in an interview he doesn't mind. Like he doesn't really have a third way. So.
Oh, okay. Right. This is a hard one. Barnet on them. I'm going to call him Yaman. Neman. Yeah, I like that. This is a hard one. Liam, do you want to go first?
Yeah, it's tough because Barnett's come in for us, and I think he's been yet another piece of the puzzle, been really positive for us attacking wise. I think yesterday we saw a bit more of the defensive side of his game, but if you're going to talk about over the course of the whole of this season, I think that's one position where I would maybe concede, because I think Yaman has been the man for County, and I was quite surprised that we actually managed to nullify him. So for that reason alone, yeah, I'll go for Yaman. I'll be nice.
Do you know what his full name is? Tom probably does. Full name.
I don't know his middle name.
Aaron Evans Neman. So he's practically Welsh. Aaron Evans Neman. That's just weird.
Well, because he's Welsh, right? I'm gonna put him in as well because I think he's been consistently good all season, and I'm conceding this one because there's a few coming up. I might dig my heels in, so he gets a vote from me. Tim,
I think you have to give it him purely on the fact that Barnett has not had a full season with us yet. So I know he performed well for Solihull, and I've been impressed by what I've seen of Barnett. He does what a wing is supposed to do, which is beat your man, cross it in, job done. And I like that he's straightforward about it. But I think Mr. Evans, your man, is gets the vote on this one.
Cool. Tom, you don't have anything against that, do you?
No. I thought he had a really decent first half. Actually, I thought he made Mendy. Mendy was really poor first half. I thought he looked scared at times, and I don't think he was used to being in a flat back five. Like he just didn't look like he was comfortable defending. So I think he has to get credit for that. But he just sort of, as he does for us a lot, he does tire around the 60-minute mark. So I think he ran out of steam, to be honest. But yeah, it definitely goes in for me. I think just Barnett is a great player as well. But yeah, your man goes in.
Right, I'm going to be a bit controversial on the back three, and we can only pick people who played yesterday, I think, rather than like look through the whole.
Do I not get a say in this because I'm on a train?
What? I just forgot you were even there.
That's such an angry vox pop. I don't get a say in this.
It's because you're in South Wales. You know, we're sick of the South getting all the attention.
Okay, sorry. Angry man on a train. What do you think?
Hang on, you're listening to the nice lady. Sorry,
This is why you don't get a say.
I was waiting for the lady to stop telling me the stations we're going to be stopping at. Oh God, Bridgend is the next station. What I was going to say was I agree. Go to the next person.
Oh my God! Right,
That was it.
You absolute ass. Right.
He's still drunk.
Okay, I'm going to say that I would pick all three of Wrexham's centre halves over County's. Now, Tom, I want you to come back at me and say which ones deserve to get in ahead of our back three.
Based on yesterday's performance, it is hard to argue because all three were not at their best. That's for sure. It's hard, and he said we can't. If he's not based on players, I think Baldwin would go in, but obviously he didn't play. Yeah, it's difficult because I thought Badrami actually had a really good game, other than his mistake, which obviously is massive because it cost us the third goal. So it's hard to argue someone that has a goal-defining mistake. And I know Cameron gets the goal, so he looks like he's had a good game, but he all three goals came from his channel. So maybe Rawlinson, but O'Connell had a good game as well, didn't he? So it's yeah. If Badrami hadn't made the mistake, maybe I'd argue over Tozer because Tozer didn't have a bad game, did he? Didn't really.
He did all right. I think Tozer had a really good game for us.
Yeah, so it's hard for me to, based on the strength of the game yesterday, it's hard for me to argue any of the three. And that's not me saying that all three of your players are better for the whole season. Maybe Cameron goes in over a course of the season. I just think he did get his lack of pace did get exposed, unfortunately. But
any nutters on public transport want to say anything?
Just want to say how great Transport for Wales is. What an amazing service. It's always reliable down here.
I have got to give due impartiality, so I won't be saying that, but I will point out that this is a Great Western Railway train. However, what I would say, which is
You sound like a Dalek.
Yeah, Reece.
pertinent to this discussion, is that I do think that Ben Tozer has been one of our most underrated players this season. People, can you hear me? Hello?
Unfortunately, yes.
Bridgend is stitching you right up.
Can you hear me now? Hello?
I'm sorry, can you just shout, "Hi, I'm on a train"? Oh, right. Reece,
Stand
He
your
wants to marry Ben Tozer. That was the gist of it.
Okay. All right.
Just WhatsApp us.
We need to sort of scoot through this. So, guys, anything that's going to stop the free Wrexham centre halves coming in?
No, but your rules have also excluded Aaron Hayden, so I'm very upset.
Yeah, but if he's not playing, he's not playing.
Oh, fucking hell, brutal.
Right.
Brutal guilty.
Yeah.
I think you maybe argue if you had to get one in Cameron for O'Connor, because O'Connor's not a centre back, but he still had a good game, like you said, and he was probably one of the players that wound our fans up the most of how long it took him to take a corner. But obviously, I've never seen someone jog and walk at the same time, but he managed to do both. It was quite impressive. But he's a very good player. So I think based on yesterday, you can't argue any of our players in because the back three what cost us, I think. So yeah.
Right. Chickson versus Mendy, and I just want to go on record by saying that Tom Williams absolutely loves Mendy. Won't stop going on about him. So, Liam, do you want to have a go first?
It's a tough one, really, because if you talk about things like consistency over the course of a season, I think Mendy has blown a bit hot and cold. There's been times when he's been great going forward, scored fantastic goals. There's been times when he's been shaky at the back, but I don't know. I'm struggling with this one because, again, if I thought there was another player that was going to cause us difficulty, I thought it was going to be in the wide areas. I'm going to be controversial and go for Chick.
I don't think he even finished that, but I think he went Chickson there. Tim.
Yeah.
Well, Adam Chickson also has a Welsh middle name, Thomas. So, not only have they got an Evans and a Kedwin, they've also got an Adam Thomas Chickson. So he represents Zimbabwe internationally. Who would have thought it? I thought Mendy was really, really good yesterday. And if we're basing it on that one performance, then he probably gets in ahead of me. I think Mendy was decent. I'm not sure I'd say what Tom said, that he looked scared in the first half. I think he was just trying to get to grips with a very tricky customer. So I think he did in the end. So I like Chickson, but I'm going to stick with Mendy because of the way he's turned the form book around in his favour.
I'm quite happy to go Chickson just because I like his renaissance. I like the fact that he was more or less being bombed out of that club a season ago, but now he's scored 12 goals from left wing back, or 11, 12 goals, and I think he's always consistent. I didn't think he played brilliantly yesterday, but I think he's probably more consistent than Mendy at the moment. But I do think Mendy's game will come on the more he deals with a full-time club. So I would concede Chickson on this. Tom?
Yeah, like you said, I'm a big fan of Mendy, but I'm going to go for Chickson as well. Not just so we get another player in there. I just think, like you said, Chickson's renaissance has been unbelievable. I absolutely love Chickson. He works so hard. He didn't have his. I don't think he had a bad game yesterday. He was a little bit quiet maybe, but his game a lot of the time is his attacking sense is ghosting in at the back post, and there was no real chance of that in a game where it was, you were quite compact. And I just think Mendy, I know it's easy to say if he doesn't score, he has not a great game. Just like you could say Badromi, I thought had a good game other than the mistake. But I think the goal maybe overshadowed his overall performance. I thought the main doesn't get down the right hand side enough. He doesn't take on his man enough. But especially first half, and Jody Jones seemed to take him on a few times as well. First half, he should have got past him more, because every time he did, he had him beaten for pace. And he got him on that yellow as well. And that was second half, but I just thought maybe Jones could have got at him and maybe challenged him more on that yellow. So I think Chickson goes in for me. Consistency as well, and just all round Chickson for me.
Okay, I think Chickson's gonna make it in there. Now I think we're getting really, really interesting in the midfield, because I did actually like the look of Bostock. And he scored an absolutely worldy free kick. I mean, he wouldn't have scored it if Walder decided to jump, but that's by the by. So are we matching up Bostock with, so is it James Jones or Cannon? Because I think Cannon was probably the deepest. So if we're matching up Bostock and Cannon, I'm probably going to go for Bostock. I think Cannon's come in and showed he's really good when he's attacking, but sometimes when he's defending, maybe he doesn't track as much as other midfielders. And I thought Bostock just played well all the way through. So Liam, Tim, anybody want to come in on that?
Yeah, it's a difficult one because I haven't seen too much of Bostock, but based on what I saw yesterday, he was the player that stood out for me, especially in that first half. He was at the centre of everything that was going well for County. And as I mentioned, I really like Andy Camden. Think he's a neat and tidy player, but there's just been, I'd say, probably two or three occasions now where he's just been caught facing his own goal when, whereas someone like Tom O'Connor would be, looking to get the ball out, that type of thing. So based purely on that, and because it was a worldie of a free kick, I will concede to Bostock.
Tim, are you conceding?
Yeah, I mean, Bostock's my mother's maiden name, so we're probably related some way down the track. So yeah, no, I thought Cannon.
Are you just trying to say that every county player is Welsh in some way?
Yeah, pretty much. I don't know how I started this trend, but I'm doing pretty well for it so far. I mean, it's largely baseless, but it's adding a touch of humour to proceedings. That's the way I'm versing it anyway. You're all laughing, so screw you.
I would like to add as well that Macaulay Langstaff's girlfriend is Welsh, so perhaps that explains his the fact he didn't turn up. Maybe she slipped something into
How
his
do you know
drink.
that, Reese?
How do you know that?
I have sources.
Is she an ex?
It's not at all suspicious, is it?
No. Genuinely, they are. She's Welsh.
Is it a strong Welsh name?
No comment.
She's making stuff up on the train. I don't know.
It's actually
Williams.
Yeah. Train drunk. Long story short of that, I didn't think Cannon had his best game yesterday.
No, he didn't.
Bostock.
Bostock's in. Bostock's in.
He's in.
Right. Who else are we looking at? So we got. I think Lee versus Rodriguez is going to be a really, really tight one. But it's Jones against Tom. Remind me of the other midfielder. Sorry.
Oh, we actually had Palmer and O'Brien in there, so it's going to be hard to, I guess, compare with the strikers. I guess you could change out Scott in there because you had two up front, didn't you, rather than.
Should we do O'Brien against James Jones? I think that's the easier one, and then we'll do Lee and Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm happy with whatever. I think it's for midfield. For me, it's hard because our midfield first off were in control of the game, all three. I thought Palmer's our best midfielder. I would say by quite a distance. Maybe he didn't show it yesterday. He did have a good game. I still thought he had a good game, and it's hard with O'Brien because I thought we've fall apart's the wrong word, but when he came off, we did lose that grit in midfield. I mean, he scored straight away when he came off, didn't he? So that was a bit disappointing as well. It's
I'm struggling with hitting Lee against Rodriguez. That one's a struggle for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. If it's Palmer against Jones, I'd probably go Palmer. But if it's Palmer against O'Brien, I'd go Jones. And I think, hang on, if I said Palmer against O'Brien,
you're keeping track of this for the 11 graphic you're going to make up.
If it's Jones against O'Brien, I'd go Jones. I thought Jones did really well yesterday, and he's becoming a bit integral to how we play. He's playing that Luke Young role, and he's absolutely running down everything. He's so energetic, but I did see flashes of quality from Palmer. He did look really good on the ball. If we're going to say it's against O'Brien, which I think we are, just because of the positions they play, then I'm going to go Jones. Anyone got anything different to say on that?
No.
I think maybe you go Palmer against Lee and then Rodriguez against one of the strikers.
Fine, we'll do that. We'll do that.
A bit more.
Comparisons.
Yeah, and cool. I think for me, like Palmer's is the better midfielder over Bostock. Bostock had a better game, probably highlighted by his free kick. Maybe if you take the free kick out, maybe Palmer had a better game. I don't know, but obviously you can't take the free kick out because it's a great goal. But I think Palmer's it's tough for me with the midfield. I thought all three had a good game for us, but then again, your midfield second half just seemed to overrun us. I don't know what happened really. Maybe it's Jones. Maybe it is Jones, and maybe he does have to go in because we just seem to get overrun in the second half.
Yeah, Jones was quite key to that. I'm going to put Jones in, and then if we do Palmer up against Lee, which isn't the like for like that we were thinking, but if we are matching up as much as we can, I don't think it's fair to put Scott in just because he came on, missed a penalty. It's probably best we leave him out of it. Now, Palmer, I did see flashes, but I thought Lee was fantastic yesterday, and he got the winner. He never stopped running. He ran back. He took on his man. He did little triangles. I mean, it's hard for me to see past Lee. I do think he is a player that is at least League One standard. Anyone else?
No, I thought he's great. His all-round game. You could argue that was probably his best game for us as well. Just disrupting, tracking back, right place for the goal. He's come into his own the last sort of 4 to 6 weeks, I think, and every inch the player we thought we were getting. So I plumped for him over Matt Thomas Palmer. There you go.
Another named after Dylan Thomas, I heard. Yeah.
Apparently so, yeah. Or Matthew Kelly or Matthew Corbett, one of them. Yeah. So
okay. You could have had Matthew Rees if you wanted to carry on the Welsh. Okay, right.
I was just going to say on Lee, I just think what impressed me so much was his tracking back. I didn't really realise he was that good defensively. We were saying in our stand, like the first half, he was just so good defensively. Like, he didn't abandon his position at all. He didn't. His concentration was there the whole time. Well, he was fantastic. If you're doing a combined team, I personally, from a Notts point of view, would have Palmer in over Bostock, but that's up to you how you want to argue it. Obviously, you've probably seen the best of Bostock. That was definitely Bostock's best performance for us by a long distance.
Shows he's a big time player then, Tom. Can't look past that.
Yeah, true. Like you said about Foster, you can't buy, but you can buy experience. But yeah, like you said earlier, he is a very experienced player, and he's definitely one for big games, I think.
You can't buy experience, but you can get it on a free transfer from Doncaster, I think is the moral of that story.
Yeah.
Right. So it's going to have to be Rodriguez against... I mean, how are we going to do this, guys? Because really and truly, it's got to be Mullin and Langstaff up front for this, isn't it? I mean, even though Langstaff barely touched the ball yesterday, you can't look away from a season where he scored nearly 45 goals. I would push for those two to be the front two, and I think it would be a brave man to really argue against that.
I mean, we've got Rodriguez in the mix, and I do struggle with it having a joint 11 without him in it. But then again, how are you going to chuck Paul Mullin out of that? Same for Langstaff as well. Saw some people who can't be the most observant on Red Passion saying, "Oh yeah, Langstaff didn't get a look in yesterday. That means he's rubbish." I was like, well, no, he's breaking records for fun this season. One of the most natural strikers I've seen, and we can talk all about this debate about goals from open play and stuff. That is a pretty crazy statistic that there's no penalties in there. So yeah, I've got no arguments with Mullin and Langstaff.
Yeah, I'd echo that. That's why I say it's difficult with midfield, because then you've got Rodriguez, and it's, from our point of view, it's like, we say Rodriguez and Palmer and Langstaff, but then who do you drop from your midfield? And then it becomes unbalanced because you've got Lee and Rodriguez and all these attacking players. But you can't argue with Mullin and Langstaff up top. I mean, I was so impressed with Mullin. I didn't think I knew he was good, but I didn't perhaps know he was quite that good. And he's fantastic. And as for Langstaff, yeah, like you said, he didn't have his best game, but I don't think his game is always off limited service anyway. And people said he didn't have many touches, but he never has many touches. It normally is, he has a couple of touches and scores. It's just unfortunate we didn't. I wish we had played into him more, maybe taking a gamble and got into his feet and seeing what happens. See if he could turn toes or something. We just didn't give him the ball enough, and it's unfortunate for him. I don't think he had a particularly bad game. A lot of his game is about occupying the other defenders to let Rodriguez and the others do their thing. That's a lot of his game, because at this point in the season, people know what he's about. They know he's going to score a goal. So, like you said, I think he has to go in. He didn't have his best game, but he just won the Player of the Month for March. He scored 8 in 6 and scored in every single game. So he's done pretty well recently.
Right. Angry Man on Train. I think that's us. Picked our team. Is there anything you want to come in on?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
That's wonderful. No, I agree with a lot of that's been said. What I was trying to tell you earlier was that I do think that Ben Tozer has been one of our most underrated players this season. I think people really take it for granted, and they just think, Hayden's always getting applauded, so Connell's always getting applauded, Tunnicliffe, and rightly so, they're all quality. But I think who's the bloke that's played 90 minutes in every game, who has got so many assists from throw-ins? He's an absolute rock at the back there, really comfortable on the ball. He can also cross the ball. He's got plenty of assists from crosses. So I'm just here to blow the horn for Ben Tozer.
You have blown his horn. Tozer's horn has absolutely been tooted.
Reese is not the only one who's blowing a horn for Ben Tozer. Ryan Reynolds' mum was apparently flirting with a rock solid centre back. May need to take out the word rock solid to the connotations.
We're going to get him sacked here, aren't we? We're going to get Tozer sacked.
That was accidental. Anyway, yeah, are we picking? Did we say we were picking Ruben Ocean, Bobby Gould, Rodriguez over?
No, we're not. He's on the bench. Right, last one. Last thing, who are we going as the boss?
Bruce Springsteen.
I'd obviously have to say Luke Williams. He's got a Welsh last name as well, so that does fit with the like I do. So that does fit with the narrative of your Welsh picks. But obviously, I would say Luke Williams, and I'm not going to say. Obviously, if I get outvoted, I can't argue otherwise. But obviously,
I'm going to say this, right? I think Parky is the right person to get us out of non-league and maybe League Two. I will think there will become a point where Ryan and Rob's money doesn't mean as much because you're up against big clubs like Sheffield Wednesday or something like that. I think then you need a progressive manager like Luke Williams to take you the rest of the way if it's at all possible. But for now, Parky is the guy you need to get you where you need to be. And then when your money doesn't mean as much and you need to be a little bit more dynamic in things, then you turn to someone like Luke. What I am saying is I do rate Luke Williams, and in 18 months we will steal him from you, Tom. But at the moment, he's yours.
Please don't.
2 years. We'll give you 2 years. I don't want to Parky. He'll get us to league. He'll get us to League One. He'll be fine. Tim, do you concur?
Yeah, I'm just looking at Luke Williams' record because, pre-Notts County, I didn't really know where he'd come from, and obviously had a bit of time at Swindon and Swansea and Milton Keynes, Bristol, a few places, and Notts County's record's really good. If this is up to date, he's won 31 of his 46 games, lost 4, drawn 11. I know Parky's played more than twice that. I think Parky's in the 104, 105 games now, and he's won the vast majority. I think he's lost 15 and he's won 64, 65. That is high-end win percentage. I think we said the other week, that's like, Jose Mourinho first season at Chelsea stats. And yeah, he's been given the tools to construct a really good team, but you still got to get him singing a tune. They can come in and be mercenaries or whatever, but his man management is probably going beneath the radar a bit of how good he is at pulling these players together. And we've seen that with players out on the fringes that are still getting involved and being the unofficial cheerleaders of the team. So I think whilst Luke Williams is undoubtedly a very bright, up-and-coming manager making his way in the game, I think you have to give it to a seasoned old pro who didn't quite work out for him at Sunderland. And essentially he's rebuilding his managerial career and he's doing a hell of a good job at it. So I'll have to give it to Super Phil.
Yeah, I can't concede on Parky because I've got huge respect for both managers. And like Andy says, I can see a scenario where Luke Williams ends up managing, a much higher level. It's like people break things down a bit too simplistically when, after we see games like yesterday. But you have to look at it over the course of the season. You got two teams on 100 points or more, and you just have to say, hats off to County because it's ridiculous how tight it's been. It's not over yet either. And two great managers, but for me, it's just Parkinson. I think it's just because I've warmed to him more this season. Like last season, early stages, there was times when we were all a bit unsure about him, but he really seems to buy into it. And he was talking about the Halifax game after the County game, saying how gutted he was that the fans went away without value for money on that Friday, all 4,000 of them. So, I'll stick by our man Parkinson, but that's with the caveat that I think Luke Williams is superb and he will go on to great things.
Lastly, Train Boy, are you going to go Ben Tozer?
Ben Tozer? Do you mean Parky?
You love him so much.
Oh no, I'm gonna throw a weight behind Phil Parkinson here. I echo comments made by Liam. You know, a lot of respect for Luke Williams. He's clearly a very talented guy. I thought he was incredibly gracious with his comments post-match as well, which was great to hear. And he's obviously done an incredible job. Let's just take a moment to say that. You know, they've got 100 points. They'll probably get 109 or even 107. You know, either way, it's a hell of an achievement. Can you hear me? I can hear.
Yes, but you're dragging. All right, you've got 10 seconds.
You fell into the Matrix Reloaded then, but you are back.
Okay, fine, I'm back. Parky gets it for me. You know, what a job yesterday. Exploited County's high line. We could have had more rewards from it, but for quite a few dodgy offside calls. So yeah, Parky gets my vote.
Perfect. Right, thank you. Right, we need to tie this up because I feel I've been doing this pod forever, and if I feel I've been doing it and I've been on it, well, what's it like for you guys listening to it? Right. What a glowing indictment of my own pod. But anyway, right. Before we go, we're going to have to do predictions. And Tim, do you want to have a quick word about the massive game coming up for the women's team?
Yes. Well, they've got an absolutely enormous game against Britain Ferry on Sunday down at Newtown. They've obviously applied for a Tier 1 license and had it approved. So the next big thing now is whether they win it. It's a winner takes all situation, really. So whoever wins from that game, which is down at Leydon Park in Newtown at, I think it's a 6:30 kickoff, if my mind serves me correct. So yeah, winner takes all. No, it's not 6:30. It's a. Hang on. No, it is 6:30. I was looking at the wrong one. It's definitely 6:30. Massive game, promotion playoff, Gennaro Adron leagues. If whoever wins it goes up to the Premier. It's as simple as that. So, and in doing so, Wrexham Women would become the first semi-professional women's football team in Wales. So there's a lot at stake. Fully confident in Steve Dale's team, especially Rosie Hughes, and you know, there's so many talented players in that team that, you know, we probably don't talk enough about because it's easy for our focus to be on the men's team all the time. But the women's team have really pulled up some trees this year, and they will get a lot of coverage the second season, the documentary, and rightly so. You know, there's a lot of really talented players there, and hopefully this promotion will only see them go from strength to strength. And I'm pretty confident they'll do it. I'll be honest, I don't know much about Britain Ferry ladies, but they'll be bang up for it. You know, there's as much riding on it for them as Wrexham Women. But yeah, pretty confident that they'll do the business, and they'll probably be well supported as well. No doubt, Mr. McElhenney may well stick around to go to that. I believe he's still in town for Barnet away, so I would not be surprised to see him turn up in Mid Wales to cheer on the ladies. So good luck to them. We're absolutely 100% certain you can do it.
Yeah, echoed by everyone here, even Tom.
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly. Yeah, definitely. Good luck to them, and shout out our women's team as well. Our women's team won the league. I think it's the week before last. I think at Meadow Lane. So just to go to show both teams, both women's and the men's for both clubs are doing brilliantly.
Just a point of order, because I haven't got my glasses on, I'm blind. It's 4:30 that Wrexham take on the South champions Britain Ferry. It's the earlier one, 1:15, where the under-19s, the champions of their league, Wrexham, will play Cardiff earlier that day at the same ground in Newtown. So yeah, 4:30 for the ladies, 1:15 for the under-19s. There we have it. Keep an eye on the Wrexham Twitter for all the travel details and updates.
Yeah, good luck everyone. Right, we can only finish this one way. Predictions. Tom, do you want to go first? Or you've got Woking at home. I'm going for 4-0 Woking.
I hope not. Yeah, I think we'll win. I think we'll bounce back. Working a really good team. I know they give you a lot of issues. I think we probably are a better stylistic matchup for them than you guys are. Just like you were a better matchup for someone like Bromley. We really struggled and you did pretty well. So I think we'll win 2-0. That's what I said we beat you guys by. So we've got to win 2-0 at some point. So I'm gonna say 2-0 to beat Woking. Yeah, Langstaff double just to get some more goals and he also bounced back.
Cool. I was going to say 2 Scott penalties, but maybe not. Right. Let's talk about Barnet. Liam, do you want to go first?
Yeah, a few weeks back, this was a fixture I was looking at quite nervously because they were on really decent run of form, but I've just got this positive feeling. I don't know that it'll necessarily be a steam roll, but I think 2-0 win for us at Barnet would do. Clean sheet, fairly comfortable performance. I'll stick with that.
Reese?
Hello, sorry for the delay. I predicted a draw against Nottingham County, so I will.
Who's Nottingham County?
So I will. I'll continue the theme. It's a tough place to go. I'm going to say a 1-1 draw and hope for a win.
Tim?
Yeah, Barnet, weird team. They don't concede many. If you take the Gateshead one out of it, that was penalties. But they just don't. Most of their wins or draws are literally by 1 goal. So I imagine that they're going to be quite tight at the back. So I fancy Foster to build on his penalty save with a cheeky clean sheet. I reckon we'll sneak it. No, you know what? They're going to concede more than 1. We'll have it 2-0. 2-0, and Palmer will continue his absolute lightning run from the bench like Usain Bolt. We all thought it was a fan invading the pitch, and it was Ollie Palmer at the end of that match. So he will continue that ridiculously searing pace and get back on the score sheet because it's been a while. So Palmer double.
I'm of the thinking that if we do not lose on Saturday, then we're gonna win the league. So with that in mind, I think it'll be tight. I think we're going to eke out a 2-1 win, but it's going to be it's going to be everything that Halifax was, but we're going to deal with it better. And I think we're going to eke out a 2-1 win. Whew, that was a tour de force. I really enjoyed it, but after all the nervous energy yesterday, to sort of relive it again, it was a bit hard. But really enjoyed that, boys. I'd just like to say thanks very much, and cheers to Tom for coming on.
Yeah,
Cheers, everyone.
Thank you.
Cheers. Right, thanks. Bye, everyone.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
Hwyl fawr.